What's up YouTube, it's your boy FootyVision back with another banger video, and today we are going to be tier listing all the best AFL rivalries, boys. And we're gonna tell you guys which one's the best AFL rivalry. So we've got some like tiers to put it on. So we got prime footy, we got pretty good, we got decent, we got irrelevant. So alright, we're going to go through them all. So they show like that. So they're not like, for example, Port Gold Coast isn't one. That confused me when I first came on here because I was looking for the Giants Bulldogs one. Because that's like, obviously I spot Bulldogs and we're like rivals with the Giants. So I was looking for that one. But all I could see was like Giants Sydney and I was so confused. I had my mind was gone, boys. Alright, so I'm going to go through all the rivalries now. We'll start from the start. So the Showdown. It's one of the most intense rivalries in the AFL between Port and Adelaide. And obviously I'm going to give that, like they have like a trophy and everything for that. And it's like intense. The two clubs hate each other. So I'm going to put that on S tier. And yeah, so that's an easy start. Alright, now next we got the Q Clash between Brisbane and Gold Coast. It's a little bit of not the most popular one almost. But I like what they've been doing recently. Like the two clubs have been like beefing on social media a lot. And it's starting to build like a bit of actual like care. Like I actually care about it a little bit more than I used to. Obviously, if you're from Queensland, that rivalry would mean a lot more to you. But like I'm looking from like the perspective of like a Victorian fan. I go for the Western Bulldogs. So like I'm not really involved in that rivalry. So I'm going to put that in air. There's like a little bit to it, but I'm going to put it in air. So yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of that rivalry. The next one I got is Brisbane Port Adelaide. I did not know that was a rivalry. And I think it might be like from the past maybe. They had a few like close games. But that's not really like a real rivalry. So I'm going to put that in irrelevant. Then we got Brisbane Collingwood. That was, whoa, it just went to the back of the row somehow. But Brisbane Collingwood was like a bit of a rivalry like 2001, 2002, 2003, 2004 even. That was like when Brisbane went on a three-peat and stuff, and they had played like a lot of close games and stuff. And that was like a really good rivalry back in the day, but it was not like a proper rivalry. So I'm going to put it in air. Or maybe it is a naturally built rivalry. So I'm going to put it in decent actually. Because that's like a natural built rivalry just out of pure, like, playing the game. So I'm going to put that in decent. Collingwood-Carlton, that's a classic AFL rivalry. It's been going on for many, many years. There used to be a lot of fighting and stuff in the games back in the day. So I'm going to put that in pretty good. I'm not going to put that in the top tier. Although it is one of the original rivalries. Alright, next one we got is Collingwood-Essendon, the Anzac Day game. Or usually they play twice a season usually. So it's the Anzac Day game and then it's usually another game at the end of the season. They always play very close games. It's always very entertaining. A lot of neutral fans watch the games between these two clubs because it's on Anzac Day and they don't have work or school or whatever. So I'm going to put that in prime footy. Because yeah, they're always very close games, very entertaining. Alright, then we got Melbourne-Collingwood. The Queen's birthday game, or now it's the Big Freeze at the G game. They're not always the closest games. I remember when I was a kid, like there used to be the Queen's birthday games, and sometimes it'd be like a 60-point win to Collingwood. Recently, they've been a little bit closer in some of the games, but it's not always the best game to watch. But a lot of people do watch it for like the Big Freeze at the G and the Queen's birthday, because like we didn't have school and stuff when we were younger, and or work if you're a bit older. But yeah, so I'm going to put that in air. Alright, next we got Collingwood-Richmond. It's a bit of an OG rivalry again. They've played many times throughout the year. There's been quite a few close games. Just coming to mind, I'm thinking of the Brodie Grundy snap to win the game. But yeah, so they've had a lot of close games. It's a good rivalry. I'm going to put it in pretty good for that one. Then we got Collingwood West Coast. I remember in my childhood, there was like a few. There was the 2010 qualifying final maybe. There was the grand final, Dom Sheed after the siren for the whole AFL to make the whole AFL happy when Collingwood lose. A great AFL moment. I'm gonna put this one in pretty good, just because of the recency bias a little bit. But all time, I think that might be decent. But just because of the Dom Sheed moment, I'm gonna put it in pretty good. Shout out Dom Sheed. Surely Dom Sheed watches this video. Alright, then we go Carlton Essendon. That's like an OG rivalry. A lot of really good games over the years. A lot of great moments. I'm gonna put that in pretty good as well. Then we got Essendon and the Hawks. This was like I remember this being like a little bit of a rivalry, maybe like 2013, 14, 15. I remember they had a whole lot of close games. It was never like a proper rivalry though, so I'm gonna put it in like then we got Essendon North Melbourne. It's not really like a proper rivalry, and those two teams have struggled a lot recently, not playing in like many finals or anything. I remember one game where they played in the finals. I think I remember like, was it a North Melbourne comeback? I remember that's when they had like Drew Petrie, Brent Harvey, Joe Watson was in that game, I think. Maybe Majak Dor. But yeah, it's a bit of an irrelevant rivalry. They've had like one or two good games, but I'm going to put them in irrelevant. Carlton Fremantle? That's a rivalry? Okay, I didn't know that was a rivalry. I think there's been a few close games between those two clubs, but like, it's not really a rivalry, so it's going in irrelevant. Alright, next, we got the Western Australia Derby, boys. A huge game. There's a huge rivalry between them. Recently, they haven't been as good, but back in the day when West Coast and Fremantle were both like really good, competing for like top 4 and stuff, they were some elite games. So I'm gonna put them in pretty good footy. No, not pretty good. Just pretty good, not pretty good footy. Alright, next we move on. Geelong Hawthorn, the Easter Monday game. There's been some crazy ones. There was the Isaac Smith miss after the siren. There was was it Tom Hawkins who kicked the goal after the siren in the other one? Then there's been like a whole bunch of other games. I remember there was one where like a Hawthorn player rushed across the line at like the end of the game. And because Geelong couldn't get the goal or something, it was like a win for Hawthorn, just like stole the game by like a point or something. Yeah, there's been some crazy ones, low-key. Yeah, especially during like the prime Hawthorn, prime Geelong days, low-key, back in the day. So I'm going to put that in prime footy. It's always an entertaining game between Geelong and Hawthorn. Alright, next we got Geelong and St Kilda. I feel like this isn't really much of a rivalry, really. Because like Geelong pretty much always dominates St Kilda. St Kilda don't always put out the best showing. Hopefully one day St Kilda will get up there, start winning some premierships and stuff, and we can like see St Kilda actually succeed. But it's been a rough road for St Kilda, so I'm going to put that in irrelevant. Alright, next we move on to some GWS rivalries. So we got the GWS Sydney. The battle, what's it called? Is it like the Battle of the Bridge or something? I don't know. Maybe that might be like the A-League, what they call the A-League version, like Sydney versus Western Sydney. But I think it's like the Battle of the Bridge though, for this one too. But yeah, there's been some really good games between these two teams. They have like a proper rivalry. But sometimes it's not like the most aggressive rivalry or anything. Like GWS have a much more aggressive rivalry with like Bulldogs, for example. But it's always been a decent rivalry. It wasn't too great at the start when like Sydney was really good and GWS were only just starting, because GWS got smoked a bunch of times and it kind of ruined the rivalry a bit for people. But they GWS wear like their special rivalry jersey and everything, and it's like a real rivalry. So I'm gonna put that in decent. Oh, actually, now I'm reconsidering, boys. I'll put that in. I'm thinking about putting that there, and then I put Essendon Hawthorn up one. I think that's better. Like that. Alright. I got some good ones coming up, boys. I can see. Alright, so now, this is the rivalry I know the most about, boys. Bulldogs, GWS. There has been some fucking moments in this rivalry, boys. Every year we have a close game. But there was some massive ones back in the day. 2016 prelim final. Bulldogs pull off the miracle and beat GWS after finishing we finished 7th on the ladder. We beat West Coast, then we beat Hawthorn, then we beat GWS in the prelim final. That was a huge game. It was one of probably the best game of AFL I've ever seen. It was like a back and forth full game, so entertaining. The best game I've ever seen. And since then, there's been some incidents. Toby Green kicked the player in the face. I think it was Dullhouse. Then multiple times they've started fighting with Bont for no reason. They just hate Bontempelli. And most of the Bulldogs players hate Toby Green and stuff. GWS stole Callum Ward from us back when they first got put into the league. And then Ryan Griffin left our club to go to GWS after the 2014 season. He just left because he didn't like the coach, so he went to GWS when he was our club captain at the time. So yeah, there's a bit of hatred between these two clubs. And then also in the prelim final, another thing I just thought of was Bulldogs bought every ticket for the stadium or something. And then we booed the GWS players when they walked out onto the field, even though it was a GWS home game for the prelim final. There was way more Bulldogs fans, and it's a real hatred between the two clubs. And there's been a lot of close games recently, so I'm gonna put it in pretty good. I might be biased a little because I'm a Bulldogs fan. Alright, then we go to Hawthorn Sydney. There was some, back in the day, 2013, 14, 15, there was some really good games between these two clubs, competing for flags. And then there was the whole Lance Franklin thing where he switched clubs. I feel like that's it was a real intense rivalry, so I'm going to put that in pretty good. Alright, next we got Carlton Richmond. Recently, both of these teams haven't been that great. Each of them have their runs every so often. About 7-8 years ago, though, Richmond was doing really good. Carlton was still a bit back there. It's been a good rivalry. There's been some close games. Usually that's the first opening game of the season, which adds a little bit to it because everyone's hyped to watch footy at the start of the season. So I'm going to put that in prime footy. Alright, then we got Richmond Essendon. That's usually the dream time at the G game. It's always a bit of hype, and I feel like it brings in the neutral fans when they were always wearing the special Indigenous round jerseys. And they were I'm pretty sure the dream time at the G had the special Indigenous round jerseys before, because I'm pretty sure that all the clubs wearing it was a more recent thing. But they always used to have special jerseys for that game. And it was always a hype game because they'd have pre-game sometimes and stuff, and music at the pre-game, and yeah, it was always a hype event sorta. So I'm gonna put that. It's not always the best game though, but I'm gonna put it as decent, I think. Then we got West Coast Sydney. This was 2000. What was that? 2005, 6, 7 or something. This was a huge rivalry back then. A lot of close games. A few moments Leo Barry, you star. Yeah, there was some great games between them. The Leo Barry line is iconic now. I gotta put that in prime footy. It's just iconic now. So that's my final tier list. So in prime footy, we got Adelaide Port, Collingwood Essendon, Geelong Hawthorn, Richmond Carlton, and West Coast Sydney. Then pretty good, we got Collingwood Carlton, Collingwood Richmond, Collingwood West Coast, Essendon Carlton, and then the Western Derby, Bulldogs GWS, Hawthorn Sydney, Collingwood. And then decent, we got Collingwood, Brisbane, Essendon, Hawthorn, Richmond, why did I say Carlton? Richmond, Essendon. Then we got the Q Clash, the Queen's Birthday Clash, the Sydney Battle of the Bridge in the tier. And then irrelevant, we got Brisbane Port, Fremantle Carlton, North Melbourne and Essendon, Geelong and St Kilda. A lot of the ones that are in the irrelevant aren't proper rivalries, I feel like. And some of them, you could make an argument that they shouldn't even be on this list of rivalries, AFL rivalries. But yeah, make sure you guys like and subscribe. Tell me what you think I did wrong in the comments. Like some of them, like the Western Australia games and stuff. Probably, I'm probably not the best person to talk on, or like, no, actually, probably not just Western Australia. Probably like the non-Victorian clubs. I'm probably not the best to talk on because I'm like a Victorian footy fan, growing up in Victoria, living my whole life in Victoria. But yeah, tell me your opinions. I want to hear your opinions, boys. I want to hear what you think.